Hello, I'm Jonathan, and welcome to the Tamworth FC Social, a podcast all about Tamworth Football Club. The start of the 2024-25 National League season is nearly upon us. This time, Brett, Graham, and myself will be making our predictions for Tamworth's first season back in the top flight of non-league football in about a decade. Don't forget you can follow us on social media at TFC Social Pod. If you enjoy the podcast, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel and give this episode a like. It really helps us grow our audience. So before we get into our predictions, just thought I'd ask you both about the new home kit, which has been released since our last episode. I think I'm right in thinking at the time of recording that none of us have actually seen it in person yet. So we are all forming these judgments based on the photos. But personally, Graham, I absolutely love it. I think the gold really pops, and I think they've improved on what I thought was already a great shirt last season as well. They've gone like one better. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it looks really smart. I think it's the best shirt we've had for a number of years, actually, really, for me, in terms of the kit. I suppose it's just epitomising, our sort of journey and where we're at the moment and a sort of better kit. So yeah, I'm probably going to try and get hold of one of them myself, I think, from the club shop. Also noticed it might be like the training tops. I noticed Andy Peaks was wearing one in his latest interview, and that's very smart as well. And I fancied a bit of that, so I might have to see if they're selling them in the club shop as well. But yeah, no, it's a nice kit. I don't usually have that much of an opinion on the kit normally, but this one really stood out, and they made a bit of an effort with the way that they've marketed it as well, with getting the players posing for it, which I thought was good, and it's quite professional. So yeah, all good.
Are you as big a fan, Brett, of the new shirt?
Yeah, I think similar to what you said, really, John. I'm really glad that we've done something slightly different for our first year back in the National League for so long. I think it definitely needed something different, and I really like the gold. I'm not overly bowled over by the two stars over the badge. I get it. I get the point of it. That should be something that we should be really proud of. Back-to-back promotions, but stars of the Champions Leagues, aren't they? Or 10 league titles. So last time I remember, we haven't won a Champions League. So, but look, I think I would like after this season to see the badge go back to the original colours. With the Mercian colours in there as well. Because obviously last year it was white rather than the actual colours of the old crest. But yeah, really like the kit. Be interesting to see what the away shirt's like. Wasn't keen on it to start with. I thought, it's a bit. Well, what is that? Why have we gone with that? But it's definitely grown on me since. I think it's a great kit.
What really struck me, I thought it was a classic example of you giving, a fan base something they probably didn't know they wanted until they've been given it. I think it was such a pleasant surprise when we saw the pictures release. I was just quite bowled over almost by it, just how classy it is. And I can't wait to see it in person. Moving on to the main gist of this episode, then we are doing our 24-25 predictions. We will be covering various categories on this episode for our predictions. I'll start off, chaps, with your National League predictions. So we'll get your National League title winners, your playoff winners, and your 4 relegated sides to start off, please. And then we'll move on to the Tamworth specifics. I'll go first, and then you can be sure that I haven't been influenced by either of you two. So starting off with my National League title winners, so I've gone with Barnet. I think they're a team that have been very consistently up there for the last few seasons. Looked impressive for the bulk of last season, obviously didn't quite make it through the playoffs. They've had a decent summer by the sounds of it, have invested in some new players. I think there are numerous teams you could probably make a case for as being likely title winners. And obviously there's a lot of big names in this division this year, but Barnet are the club I've gone for. And I think just the pedigree of the club is a team that's known how to get out of this division and be in League Two. Playoff winners, I think this one might be slightly surprising, but I've gone for Southend. Last season they had the points deduction, and despite that, they actually, stats-wise, performed very well. Relegated sides, I've gone for 2 of the promoted sides in Braintree and Boston United. I'm just thinking how well a team's going to acclimatise to a higher division. And the other 2 teams to go down, I've gone for Ebbsfleet United and Maidenhead United. two teams who I think might have a slightly poorer year than last season and might succumb to the drop. And those are my predictions.
I'll go next. I actually think Southend will win it. I think they finished so strongly last season. And they're a big enough club to do that as well. You know, they're well followed. They have got a good squad. So, yeah, I think Southend will do just about enough to win it. Playoffs, I actually think Yeovil could win the playoffs. I think, they had just as good a season as we did last season. They are a big team, and I think their momentum could carry them on into the playoffs and just about get them over the line. I think it'd be tight. I think it could be between them and Forest Green, just for the amount of money that Forest Green have thrown at it. But I think actually Yeovil could do it. And then relegated sides, yeah, I think Braintree, although they've made loads of signings, doesn't necessarily mean that they're the right ones. So I think Braintree, Maidenhead, Ebbsfleet, as you've said, because they struggled last year. I think Ebbsfleet were probably lucky in the end that they did stay up. And then I think it's going to be a toss-up then between York, who struggled, but obviously they just about pulled it around towards the end. I think Boston will be okay. And I can see probably Fylde slipping through. So obviously I've got pick four, haven't I? So Maidenhead, Ebbsfleet, Braintree, Fylde.
And what about you, Graham?
In terms of getting promoted, I'm going to go with Barnet as well. They obviously finished last season extremely strongly. They scored a lot of goals last season. They got extremely good goal difference. They know the league well. They've been here for a number of years. It feels like it's probably naturally their time now. And they've made some decent acquisitions over the summer. So I'd say Barnet are probably the ones that they've got the squad on paper to do it. Potentially looking at maybe Forest Green as well. Come back down again. Can they come back up? But I think Barnet, for me, are the ones that will be going up. In terms of playoffs, this is really difficult. I mean, there's a number of teams. So many. Probably almost half the division you could probably muster of who could go up. So I'm going to go with a bit of a sort of just from things I've seen in terms of signings and where the club's going and the fact that you saw like a Bromley go up last year. I'm going to say it's Solihull Moors. They've obviously been knocking about the top end of the division for a while. They've got quite a talented young manager in Andy Wing. And obviously they've got a bit of a good professional setup there now. So that I'd say it's a bit of a dark horse, really, because you've got some really big clubs that potentially are going to, power on. You've got Oldham, you've got Altrincham that were even up there last year. Well, we spoke about Southend, Hartlepool, traditional big clubs, and then even your Rochdales as well. But I'm going to stick with Solihull just because they've been in and around it over the last couple of years. They've kept their squad together and they've got a decent young manager. They obviously got to play a final last season, so they can build upon that experience as well. Okay, in terms of relegated or teams that I expect to get relegated, found this quite tricky and trying not to include Tamworth in here as well, being optimistic. And from what I've seen so far, I think we'll have a very, very good chance of staying up. So I've not put Tamworth amongst the relegated teams. For me, who I think will go down, I think number one will be Wealdstone. So they were in and around the relegation zone last season. I don't know too much about Ebbsfleet, but again, they've been in and around it, and I think they'll probably go down there, stayed up by the skin of their teeth. So I can see them going down. Don't think Yeovil will go down. I agree with Brett on that. I think they're potentially going places now. They're a big club. They've got the setup there. The fact they got them just pulled themselves out of that league was important. I think Boston potentially could go back down again. Were they potentially ready to come up to the league? Well, yes, the same with us in one way. But obviously they came up through the playoffs, so it's a little bit different. I think they'll potentially be in it. And then fourth and final one, this was a little bit of a struggle. I was tossing up between a couple of teams here. So I was looking at Braintree, but they've actually made some decent signings and they've gone the full time, I believe. So I think they might well stay up. But Woking probably for me the other team potentially that will get relegated.
Perhaps the most surprising one for me out of all that is Brett saying Yeovil will go up for the playoffs. I agree. I think they will have a very good season. I don't think they'll be anywhere near going down. Obviously, ex-Tamworth boss Mark Cooper at the helm there as well. So it'll be interesting to keep an eye on them. And Graham, the Solihull Moors playoff winners prediction, probably less surprising. I think there's perhaps an air of inevitability about them. Like it's only a matter of time before they actually do it because they have been in the upper part of the National League for the last few seasons and probably similar to Barnet. I think it's bound to happen eventually, and obviously Graham and myself have gone for those to win the title. The relegated sides, there's similarities, aren't there, between some of the clubs we've gone for. I wonder if it's any coincidence. There's quite a lot of southern-based teams in our fours to go down. Any points that you both want to pick out, starting with you, Brett?
Through a lot of people who I've seen and on different forums as well, saying that Tamworth could be dark horses next season. That's great that people are saying that. But I think Solihull Ground, that is a really good shout because they have made some great signings. I saw today they signed John Bostock from Notts County. Now that is a signing. That's a signing that teams like Forest Green or Southend, etc., should be waiting. So the fact that Bostock's gone there, that is and he's the kind of player that could win them the league, the playoffs. He's the difference for them, I think, this year. So yeah, maybe.
Graham, any thoughts off the back of our predictions there?
Interesting what Brett said about some of the clubs saying that Tamworth will do well. I think he goes back to that unknown quantity again of what we are. Come out of nowhere, really. I think teams will underestimate us, probably because we're part-time. But we've got a style of play. The team's been together 2-3 seasons. They all know their jobs. Well drilled. Whoever he's bringing in fits that mould. So I think we already have an advantage in that sense. There'll be a number of these National League clubs this season that are probably rebuilding or squad reshaping. We've got that advantage of just being able to go in and I suppose just enjoy it as well. Embrace it and not worry too much without the pressure.
Moving on to the most interesting club in the division then, Tamworth FC. So this time I would like to get your final league positions for the club. I can start and then I'll go to you, Brett, and then Graham. So I have gone for 18th position. I feel it's probably going to be a difficult-ish season. I really love the fact that so many people on social media are tipping Tamworth to sort of be the surprise package or the overachievers, but I just think it is a long season. I'm probably not out of the question that Tamworth start really well, despite that really tricky August. I think if they can weather that storm a little bit and get to Christmas, it might be quite a good start. But I just wonder at the end of gets to April, May, we might just be very pleased if Tamworth stay up. I don't think they'll be in a relegation battle necessarily. I think it might be one of them teams that maybe with 2 or 3 games left to go, Tamworth sort of are quite safe. Would love Tamworth to beat the all-time highest league position, but I think maybe not this season. Brett, what about you? Tamworth final league position?
I mean, yeah, I'm happy. I'd be happy with 19th. First time in a long time that we've been back there. I'll be happy with 19th. I think 19th, 18th. Good solid foundation to build on for next season. Go again next season, 15th, 14th. Then who knows?
I'm going to stay on that same vein. Us staying up is a massive success, and I'll say we can finish 17th, just to be a little bit more, slightly more positive. And I base this just on the fact of momentum more than anything. Momentum, togetherness of that team, and as I said earlier, knowing what they are. I think that's what will get us through the season. I think we'll probably have some surprise results and we'll probably beat a couple of big teams. Probably have some quite disappointing results, but they won't be disappointing. I think we'll just be beaten by teams that are full-time established National League clubs. Then sometimes we're not going to be able to be at it every single weekend or a Tuesday night when these guys are, they're training, 4-5 times a week, and we're training twice a week. Some might not even be able to both of those training sessions. I don't know, but I think that's what will, sort of sometimes come to bite us. But I think the togetherness of that team and the of the what they are as a team and what is Andy Peaks and the management team have installed in them, I think that's what will ultimately get them through this season and keep them in the league. Because I don't think there'll be necessarily other teams that actually have that, and they'll probably few scrappy results in there as well, grinding out results again. But yeah, who cares? That's a win's a win, and if we stay up, then that will be good. So I'll go with 17th.
Thank you, Graham. Wasn't expecting us all to be as similar in our picks for Tamworth League position there, but I guess all this time we spent together has put us on the same wavelength. A finishing position of between 17th and 19th would be absolutely fine, wouldn't it, for Tamworth? I think it's good. It's still a bit of an unknown, I think, isn't it? How well Tamworth will do and how quickly they'll get used to the high division, but they have got the consistency on their side in terms of squad, given so many are playing again this season from the title winning team of last time, and the momentum and the bounce from two successive promotions. I think that's in some respects Tamworth's biggest kind of asset going into this season, because it must be such a wave of optimism that club is riding on at the moment, and you'd like to think that will mean a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the main thing really is what you've just kind of said, is that we just don't know, how we're going to fare. But I still think, any finish outside the bottom four is a really good season, and we should be really clear with that. And next season should be about enjoying the wins, enjoying the days out that we've not had for a long time in a league rather than in a cup, and appreciating and enjoying the fact that we are where we are, and then looking ahead at what we do next. So I don't think to say that it's 17th, 18th, 19th is being negative at all. We finished in those positions. I'd be proud of the season that we've had. It still shows progress, because we've gone from 2 years ago playing Hitchin, we're playing Yeovil, we're playing Southend, Oldham, Rochdale, all big clubs. So it's still progress. It's still a really good position to be finishing in.
You got to think back to last season, and we're all kind of thinking, well, we don't really know what we're going to expect this season, because we've not been in this league for nearly 5, I think 4 seasons, might be 5 actually. And
10?
No, sorry, I'm talking about Conference North. What? And we're obviously all kind of thinking, well, we just want to stay up. That'll be. But we thought, maybe we'll get to mid-table. We know we're really new, and we're now going into that unknown quantity again. Season later, but with probably even bigger hurdles ahead of us. Well, definitely bigger hurdles ahead of us with the league we've gone into. So just staying up is huge, huge, huge for us. But as the season goes on, the conversation may change in terms of where we are and how we're doing. If we get off to a really good start, then your optimism levels go up again, and it was the same as last season. The more it went on, the more that we sort of like, well, we can see the finishing line here and where we're going to end up. So yeah, as Brett said, we just don't really know. We've not we've been in here for 3 seasons and we've got an idea of kind of how we could do. We just don't know, but we can see it from the foundations of what we got. We've built a team that's solid defensively, and it's got all those attributes of a hard-working team that's passionate.
Moving on then, I'd like to get your top scorer for Tamworth, your Tamworth player of the season, and your Tamworth young player of the season. So I'll start off, I'll rattle through my 3 and then we can go around the both of you after that. So for the Tamworth top scorer, I'm going to go for Miracle Okafor. Similar to Tamworth as a team, I think this player is something of an unknown, how he's going to take to this division, because obviously he was playing a couple of divisions lower, but his reputation and his how he's been rated by Andy Peaks is sky high, really. And when he joined, Andy Peaks was saying that there were bigger clubs who were sort of interested in him, but he opted to come to Tamworth. And I just think if this guy can hit the ground running, I think he could become a good goal scorer at this level, which you obviously need as a newly promoted team. For the player of the season, I've gone for Jordan Cullinane-Liburd. I still think the defence is going to be absolutely key, and I'd imagine the team will still be built around a solid defence because why wouldn't you? It was so good last season. And then for Tamworth Young Player of the Season, I've gone for Beck-Ray Inoru. Really, really liked what I saw of him towards the end of last season. I suppose it's depends on him getting game time because Tamworth do have good options in the wide positions. Potentially Ben Acquire and Carl Finn might be the starters, at least at the start of the season. But even as an option off the bench, I think Beck-Ray will be a fantastic option. And just the pace he has, I don't think there's a single team in the division that won't be afraid of that. Brett, would you like to go next with your three in those categories?
Yeah, so I think top goal scorer would be Chris Ray. Knows the division, scored some goals last season. So I think it will be Chris. And I think we'll set up as well for our game to be around Chris Ray being the target man. And I think we'll have to play quite a bit of long ball next year as well. And then player of the season, I actually think it could be Carl Finn because I think he'll go into this season having something to prove, wanting to use it as a platform to get himself into the Football League. So whereas we've said that he probably had a season or two halves last season, I think he's really going to step it up into another notch next season and really make a difference. And I think the reality is he has to as well. I think you look at those wingers, I think that's where most of the chances are going to have to come from. I think we've got to have between Acquire, Beck-Ray, Tom Glinchy, Carl Finn. I think that they have got to be so drilled and so focused on getting that ball up and in and around the opposition's box that we've got to do everything we can to support those with their any kind of forward run that we can get them to do. So I think Carl Finn could be the difference in a lot of games for us. And then young player of the year, I think Miracle Okafor. I haven't seen him play yet, but from what I'm hearing, he looks very raw but hungry, and that's what you want as well. So I think between him and Ray, they should balance each other out really well. I suppose it would just be depending on whether him or Creedy are starting. And I suppose once we get into and out of August, we'll have a better idea what the front line will be like. So I think, yeah, probably Miracle Okafor.
Graham?
Quite similar, really, to you guys. Top goal scorer. I'll probably go with Chris Ray as well, just because he has played in this division before. Mason, he's probably our sort of, I suppose, our big name signing, really, in terms of, you know, who he is and where he's come from. And in fact, he's kind of, he's done it a little bit before. I think he's probably still got to prove himself in this league as well, though. But the way he played for us last season and the way he fitted into that team, I think it will work really, really well. In terms of player of the season, I'm going to go Tom McGlinchey. I think he's definitely played quite a big part in the pre-season. I've been quite impressed with what I've heard, and I think he's somebody who's been around in and around the league scene for a long time. Some clubs have probably been interested in him, and when I've seen him play, I thought he stood out above everybody on the pitch, and was a bit of a surprise package potentially for Tamworth and for other teams again. A bit of a difficult one because it's really hard to know at the moment. But yeah, I'm going to go for that. Young player, I'm going to go Beck-Ray. I think he's frightening, to be honest, in terms of what he could do. Again, completely unknown quantity. Kind of fits the Andy Peaks mould, the type of wings that he brings in. He naturally fits into that. But I think he could have a really, really good season. I was so excited what I saw at the end of last season with him and what he could bring to the team. He'll definitely, if he kicks on, he'll definitely attract Football League clubs, that's for sure.
Keen as well, just to get into the forwards chat a little bit more. Do you think, Graham, there is enough firepower there if we sort of, at the time of recording, say there's Chris Ray, Dan Creaney, Miracle Okafor and Ty Deacon, are you happy with that level of firepower up front?
I think I am. We've got to look, we've got to work within constraints of what we've got and our budget and everything like that. So it's understandable what we've brought in, and we've made two decent acquisitions in terms of strikers, and we know what Chris Ray's about because he was with us last season. And I just think we've got all of those. What excites me is we've got all these goals that come from the midfield and the wingers. We've got so many options there. You've got Quay, you've got Beck-Ray, you've got Carl Finn, you've got McGlinchey, you've got Shakuna, you've got Ben Milnes who can pop up with a goal. I don't know too much about Alex Fletcher, but I imagine he fits that same mold. We've got options, and that's that excites me. So and we obviously scored quite a few goals in pre-season already, so that hasn't sort of been a big problem for us, and we've created a lot of chances from the game. So yeah, I think we've got enough there.
Would you echo that, Brett?
I'd like to see us sign that Ponticelli. I think obviously he would really add something extra to this strike force. Yeah, four's on paper enough, but I think they're probably all a bit samey. I would worry if there was an injury. You see, if there was suddenly an injury, then you'd think, oh, where are we going with this now?
It's Jordan Ponticelli, isn't it, Brett, you were referring to just now? He was released by Kings Lynn, wasn't he, at the end of last season? Is there anything either of you wanted to add on anything?
I just wanted to say, looking back now to the build up to this season and when we were last time in the National League, it's a long time ago, but I feel that we probably took it for granted that we were in there the second time around. I think the first time we were all kind of thinking, oh, what a great achievement this was. It was something new for a lot of the younger fans, certainly for our age as well, going through to see Tamworth in this division. Probably not so much yourself, Graham. That's definitely what attracted me when you start seeing Tamworth on like computer games or on Sky Sports News being featured more regularly. And you think, oh God, this is great. And then you kind of ended up taking that for granted to the second time around. It was just kind of a given, especially considering we started that first season backing it so well. But then in the years that we've had since then has really put it into perspective, the size of the club that we are. I can definitely feel the excitement and the build-up brewing. And I definitely don't remember it being like this last time we were getting ready for a National League season.
From the last time we were in there to now, things have changed a lot with technology and everything. And the amount of coverage that the National League gets now is on another level compared to what it was. So it kind of helps build even more excitement towards this season starting. And yeah, and just the fact that the way we've done it as well, 2 promotions in a row and where we've been, what we were, all the things you said, where we were sort of 18 months ago, and just everything combined just makes it, just can't wait. I'm just so excited for it. Feel like just a kid at Christmas, to be honest. So can't wait for it to get started and just see how we do and, go to some of these clubs that we could only sort of like almost dream about playing a couple of seasons ago. Your Hartlepool, Southends. It's brilliant for the club and for the town as well.
We will leave it there for this episode of the Tamworth FC Social podcast. Thank you for listening. You can follow us on social media at TFC Social Pod. If you enjoy the podcast, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel and give this episode a like. It really helps us grow our audience. Until next time, goodbye.